drama in the opposition is refusing to cease, is refusing to stop. Every day comes with new things, comes with new developments, comes with new contestations. And recently we have had the MDCT chairperson, Morgan Komichi, saying they are now called the MDC Alliance. And for the sake of clarification, the senator is on the agenda today on a Monday. And viewers, I would like to welcome you to News MTV, and this is the agenda, the program that comes to you, of course, on a weekly basis and hard-hitting politics discussion. And in this debate, I'm going to request you to engage us and engage the senator and engage the chairperson, putting your questions on our Facebook page, and I'm going to take them and ask you and I'm going to ask the questions on your behalf, but later in the program. So for now, Senator, I just want to welcome you to the agenda on this Monday.
Thank you so much, Costa. Welcome too.
I know that you have sparked controversy just a couple of days ago when you announced that you are now the MDC Alliance. And you know that previously you had been going with the MDCT after the Supreme Court ruling on 30 March that nullified whatever was presided by your former boss, Nelson Chamisa. But before we delve into that, let me just straightforward ask you on this dominating question. In what way are you regarding yourself as an opposition to the governing party, the ZANU-PF?
We are, thank you so much, Costa. I think many people mix up things. We've had a lot of people trying to say MDCT is an appendage of ZANU-PF. It's quite regrettable to think like that, because we will never be, and we've never been. Remember, we are the original of the party, which was launched in 1999, headed by Morgan Tsvangirai. We've never deviated. We've always been the opposition party. How come after 21 years or after 20 years, we can now be labeled as a ZANU-PF appendage? What have we done? We've existed under ZANU-PF misrule. We've existed under ZANU-PF governance. We've contested ZANU-PF. We've beaten ZANU-PF in some elections. 2008, we beat ZANU-PF with our President Morgan Tsvangirai. What has gone wrong today to really think to then call us that we are ZANU-PF?
So what is wrong with ZANU-PF-led government right now, today in Zimbabwe?
ZANU-PF has got its own faults, which we're contesting. The governance of the country, the governance of the country.
Like,
this country's got serious economic issues. People are suffering. There's no employment for the youth. There's no money in the country. The currency is just haphazard. Inflation is too high. Look at it. People are not happy at all in this country. So as an opposition party, we want to make sure that that is corrected.
In what's your point, what's your view on the narrative that there is a crisis in Zimbabwe with the ZANU-PF at the center of it?
People have defined the challenge in Zimbabwe. Some people call it a challenge, some people call it a crisis.
What do you call it?
You can call it whatever you want. You can call it whatever you want, but at the end of the day, Zimbabweans are living in a serious challenge.
Is Zimbabwe not in a crisis, in your view? Is Zimbabwe not in a crisis, in your view?
It's actually a matter of semantics. You can call it challenge, you can call it crisis. It actually means the same thing at the end of the day.
Don't you think that this ambiguous kind of definition, from your point of view, on whether there's your observation, whether there's a crisis or not, is actually building to the fact that you are being labeled an appendage of ZANU-PF, because you're actually failing to just say there is a crisis in Zimbabwe?
I'm not failing.
It's one of those
contributing factors. I'm trying to explain to you that you can call it whatever you want. If you want to call it a crisis, you can call it. If you want to call it a challenge, you can call it. At the end of the day, we've got problems in this country.
So we don't have a crisis. We need to agree on that so that we move on to the next stage.
No. We have a crisis. What I'm trying to do here was just to explain to you that people can define it in the way they want. But at the end of the day, let's go to the roots and issues that are there on the ground. Mm-hmm. The people are suffering. People, they want to receive service.
Mm-hmm. We haven't heard much from your party about the recent developments. You know, the human rights violations. This is a fact, and we have heard the likes of Impala Rental being, of course, implicated in the abduction of the young journalist Tawanda Mchehiwa. And recently we have heard this NAS president, who is currently in court right now as I speak, after being beaten on Friday when he was addressing the press. We haven't heard much from you. Speaking, what's your observation on these ones? What's your position?
Don't forget that we are some of the victims of the human rights abuses in the country. We've been abused. We have been beaten. We have been arrested. We have been jailed. We have been tortured. Remember, our party president, myself and many others, our own supporters. Remember the 2008, more than 300 supporters.
That's not disputed. That one is documented, it's known. But what I'm asking is your position on the recent developments, precisely the examples that I've just given you on the Gadzor and Mchehiwa, these students who are facing.
We don't subscribe to that at all. We do believe that no one must be abused. We do believe that people should have the rights. People should have the right to demonstrate peacefully. People should be given that permission, and they should be given that room. We want that democratic space to be free. We want people to demonstrate. We don't really at all subscribe to the idea that people must not be allowed to demonstrate.
But your party have been quiet about it until now.
We're not quiet at all.
Well, you haven't spoken. What did you say?
We are not quiet at all. Our party spokesperson has covered that, and we will not even our own party president has actually covered that. Even our Secretary General has actually covered that. We have even asked these questions in Parliament.
Let me also ask you about the MDC Alliance 3. Now, I don't know which kind of reference exactly, because we are going to touch on the chaos around the name. The MDC 3, young girls, including the Harare West MP, Joanna Mamombe. Do you believe that they were really abducted?
That is the responsibility of the government to prove. The government is denying that, and it must prove that to the people of Zimbabwe and to the world.
Is government accepted previous examples?
They must prove to us that they were not abducted. The girls have alleged that they were abducted, and it is upon the government to prove that. They have taken the girls to court. They must give the girls the chance to explain themselves, and they must be represented by their lawyers, and let the case be argued in court. Really. Then when the court has been, when the case has been held in the court, people will know the truth.
Let me just, because I'm asking these questions because you have been labeled in the appendage of SANPF, we really should understand it. Let's go back to the 31st July demonstration, the anti-corruption as it was coined by the Transform Zimbabwe leader, the convener, Jacob Ngaruvumi, is now out of custody on bail. And you know, one of your fellow compatriots, Job Scala, is in prison, actually in relation to that case precisely. Your party seemed to have distanced itself from that kind of a protest. Why?
We did not distance ourselves from the protest. But what happened is that the organizers never bothered even to get in touch with us. We were really getting these things through the social media, and they were sympathizing with what was happening. And we continue to sympathize with what's happening with the other guys like Wanangaru. We sympathize with Job Scala, but unfortunately the organizers
was the cause not genuine, that it had to require you being invited or receiving a formal invitation?
Don't forget that we're also preparing for external congress on the same day. We were also preoccupied very much.
But what was important
we were supposed to implement the court judgment. It was very critical. And the 31st July was the last day of our court judgment. And could not even want to violate that. So I wanted to make sure that we did everything we did everything that was within the law to make sure that we meet the requirements of the law. And because of that, we were really preoccupied. But we sympathize with what has happened.
Let's talk about the chaos around the MDC name. You just came out and people are saying you are now determined to just sabotage one person who is so popular in this country in the opposition field, Nelson Chamisa. The chaos around the MDC alliance name that you pronounced on, is it Saturday or on Friday?
Saturday.
On Saturday, yes.
It's unfortunate that people might want to think like that. We, or I not, at all against Nelson. I don't hate Nelson at all. Not at all. I respect him. He's got his own rights to be what he is, to do what he's doing. We differed on the outcome of the Supreme Judgment, but that does not make us enemies at all. So really, what I did on Saturday was just to explain the truth. The truth is that the MDCT president or anyone who stands for MDCT is an automatic leader of the MDC alliance, as Changirai was, and as Nelson was when he took over MDCT. So this time around, the MDCT is under the leadership of Dr. Thokozani Kupe. She automatically becomes the head of the alliance. By that agreement, we cannot do any other thing besides that. What then happens, MDCT and its partners seconded members of parliament. MDCT has got the largest number of members of parliament. So many people, all people that were recalled from the Senate, from the PR, and from the Council, were seconded by MDCT under the banner of the MDC Alliance. The identity that we use in the Parliament, the Council, is MDC Alliance, seconded by MDCT.
Let me ask you something, Kisinaji. We want to have a conversation here. Thokozani Kupe is now the leader of the MDC Alliance. This is the person who contested against the MDC Alliance in the previous election, and she becomes automatically a beneficiary of the outputs of a party that she contested in the 2018. Does it make sense to you?
We could have avoided this if we had followed the constitution of our party.
No, but what I mean is to have someone who contested the alliance. This is Thokozani Kupe who contested the MDC Alliance, a party.
It's not that.
And she's now becoming a beneficiary.
You have to respect the rule of law. The court ruled. It's unfortunate. Whatever we did between before 2018 to the court judgment was decided by the court. And the court found us on the wrong side. Kupe was found on the wrong side. Nelson and ourselves were found on the wrong side. And the court ordered us to go back to 2018, 14 February 2018, and restart from there and follow our own constitution.
In 2014, there was no alliance.
And everything.
In 2014, there was no MDC alliance.
2018.
No, but we ordered to go back to the 2014 structures. And
2014 structures was the ones that were there legitimately.
So how do you come into the alliance now?
On the very day Changirai died, the structures that were operational, that were constitutionally constructed and constituted, were made in 2014.
Senator, we want to agree with each other here. Let's go step by step. The Supreme Court judgment said you should go back to the 2014 structures, and they ordered you to have an extraordinary Congress using the 2014 structures.
Yes,
how do you jump to 2018?
Let me clear this. On the very day Changirai passed on, that was the 14th February 2018.
Yes.
The structures that were operational, by that time, were constituted in 2014. So these were the people that were legitimate to decide on the extraordinary Congress. So this is what is there. There's no confusion there. You don't form structures every year. You form structures at a Congress. When you go for the Congress.
So are you going to contest the by-elections with MDC Alliance now?
Yes, of course. We cannot change the name now. There will be a conflict of identity if we change the name. The people that we seconded in Parliament, seconded in councils, were seconded under MDC Alliance. So if we make any variation today, in Parliament there will be MPs listed under MDC Alliance, and there will be one MP who will be listed under MDCT. There will be a conflict of identity, and you cannot do that. So between 2018 and 2023, we are going to be using MDC Alliance. Any other person who wants to contest, who was with us before, needs to form a new party.
No, let me understand something. I know the trademarks of the MDC Alliance as a party in the 2018 elections. Are you going to use the same? Are you going to use the same trademarks, the same symbols?
We would look at it where there's conflict. We'll have to create it. We'll have to remove the conflict. But the name is going to be MDC Alliance.
No, but what I mean is, if you're going to use the MDC Alliance party name to contest the by-elections,
there are some of the trademarks that were delegitimized. For an example, we had used the face of Alfred Chamisa. We can't use that anymore because that particular trademark was delegitimized by the court.
So which means
but any other trademark that was not affected by the court will be used. The name, the symbol, everything else. It's only the picture that we're going to change.
That means it's a new party under the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission registry.
No, it's not at all. It's not at all. It's not at all. Don't forget that the signature that is ZEC is the signature that is found in ZEC is mine.
But do you imply that when ZEC is accepting you as a party, it doesn't bother itself with the trademarks of any political party?
No. When the law comes in, it would clear that. When the law is ruled that this particular one is removed, then it's okay. On that particular trademark that we are referring to, Chamisa's face was delegitimized by the Supreme Court.
But in all this, Senator, where do you see it ending? Because there is argument out there that you don't have a political currency. In other words, your party or your faction or your camp, I don't know what fits in the description of your outfit, that it just seeks to sabotage Nelson Chamisa because it don't have anything to achieve.
That is not true. That is what people would think. But whenever a major decision is taken in life, many people will take time to appreciate it. Many people will take time to understand it. Let me take you back to the biblical times of Moses in Egypt. After more than 400 years of the Israelites staying in Egypt, they were so used to the Pharaoh systems. They were so used to the sufferings and everything else, the abuse of the law of their rights. Such that when Moses came in and said, guys, let's now move to a better land of democracy, better land where we have honey, flowing honey and milk. Many people of that time castigated Moses.
Well,
they actually refused and they even fought him. But he had a vision. Today we have got a vision where we believe democracy and socialism are going to be flourishing. We got a vision where we believe strongly that this party is going to grow huge. We got a vision where we see this party contesting and beating ZANU-PF in the next elections.
Sure.
The people are going to understand us. We are so patient. We are so patient, and we got a plan and we got programs that will transform the people of Zimbabwe's lives and will change even the perception, the attitude. Very soon, I can assure you, Zimbabweans will be rallying behind us. What we are getting today is natural. Nelson is, of course, he went for an election and people have really supported him. But I can assure you, popularity is not permanent. Popularity will change right now. Immediately it will change to us. Let us go for our extraordinary Congress, you see. We come out with a new leader. That leader will be followed by the people.
Senator, I must appreciate your introductory remarks that we have had so far. We are going to take a short break and then we'll come back just in a minute. We'll give you a breather. Viewers, keep on tuning. I'm sure in the second episode we'll be joined by the MDC Alliance Youth Secretary General Ostalo Siziva on the second episode. So tune in, don't go away. We're just taking a break. Viewers, welcome back to the second episode of The Agenda on a Monday. Now, my guests are now two. Ostalo Siziva, the MDC Alliance Youth Secretary General, has just joined us. And again, on my left, I do have Senator Komichi, whom I started with. Ostalo was delayed a bit by some of the things that he was engaged in. But now he is on the show. He is on the program. So I'm going to rush to give him an opportunity to just justify why his party labels the Thokozani Kupe party, the MDCT, alongside Douglas Ngonzora, Senator Komichi, among other, of course, officials, why they are labeled the ZANU-PF appendage. Why is it that they are bidding? Why is it that the narrative that they are bidding for ZANU-PF? Ostalos.
Okay, thank you very much. Allow me to salute the viewers and the people of Zimbabwe. I think our perspective is very clear, that there are developments in the body politic of this country, wherein some of our eastward comrades have, joined hands with the state to suppress the will of the people. And I'm happy that we are all students of history. We know the developments that led to the birth of the MDC alliance, and the contradiction that emerged thereof, leading to the split that saw some of our compatriots, in particular Thokozani Kupe and Douglas Munzora, now working with the state. And I think it's a position that is well known. And for the upcoming by-elections, I think, which is the gist of the conversation, obviously you have heard the Senator Morgan Comich articulating the position that they've taken, and we set in the national executive of the party to deliberate, and there's going to be a way forward communicated by the leadership of the party in terms of our contestation in by-election. But the issue is very clear. I want to respond to the question by the senator that popularity is not permanent. I think that politics functions on a social contract, and organizations like the democratic movement exist because of the social contract that the leadership has with the people. And in this case is Advocate Nelson Chamisa, our president, who was the social contract with the people. And of course, elections under authoritarian tutelage have its own problems, including rigging, electoral manipulation, and harvest of share, among others. And as the MDC Alliance were aware of all the machinations as we head towards the by-elections to return our members who were illegally recalled from Parliament and local council, which is very sad and a tragedy.
Let me just interrupt
democracy.
you, Ostalosi. You're talking about the recalls of Parliament. We have reserved this for the just ahead, but we want to exhaust on the appendage of why the MDC led by Thokozani Kupe. Why is your party saying it is now working counts with the SANPF? You have explored on that. But then there is another issue, the element of the MDC alliance name. Senator Komichi spoke extensively before you arrived about the MDC alliance name, and that they're actually going to contest these coming by-elections in December as the MDC alliance. And I was just asking him the party symbols which their party, which the MDC alliance is going to carry, because in the previous elections, Nelson Chamisa was the head of that trademark of that party which contested. And I also asked him about the Thokozani Kupe having contested the same MDC alliance and now coming back to lead the alliance in the coming by-elections. So on that contestation, do you understand the alliance agreement and the implications it bears on you?
I think that the debate on MDC alliance and MDCT is an exhausted one. The question of trademark, of course, is important when we're going for the next plebiscite, the by-elections declared by Zimbabwe Electoral Commission to be in December. But I think that the question on MDCT and MDC alliance is despite that it remains evergreen, it is an exhausted subject. I am a young person, and my worry is, as a society, what are the things that we must be doing to transform the concrete realities of the suffering people, not necessarily to be exhausted and captured in vicious cycles of elections. We're now an electioneering country, one election after another. And for me, that's very problematic, because that doesn't resolve the crisis we are facing. There is no water, there is no electricity. Most of young people are waking up at the blessing of empty stomach and jobless existence. And for me, these are fundamental issues that we must be worried of as a generation and as young people. And it worries me really when compatriots within the body politic are worried and focused on electioneering, because elections in this country since 1980 have never left Zimbabwe united. Elections have left this country divided than ever. So there's something very problematic, and we have submitted our voices as young people on why are we locked in these vicious cycles of elections.
But the question still remains here. It looks like now the MDC Alliance party name is gone, so you don't have an identity.
The intention by ZANU-PF to destroy the organization. Any leader that has existed under authoritarian regime, you know it. You can go and study Mobutu Sese Seko, go and study in Uganda, Museveni, go and study anywhere in the world, once Mubarak, anywhere. Ben Ali is the character of authoritarian regime that the opposition movement must be annihilated, and the only way to do so, part of the machinations, is also obviously to divide and destroy the opposition movement. They went for the MDC Alliance. We won in 2018. Senator Morgan Committee here was the one in front of cameras and making it very clear in no uncertain terms that Advocate Nelson Chamisa must be declared the winner of the 2018 plebiscite. So ZANU-PF denied Advocate Nelson Chamisa entry to number 1 Chancellor Avenue through unleashing of many military fatigue. You saw them in the streets of Harare. You saw them in the streets of Bulawayo Metropolitan Province to deny the ordinary people their choice. Number 2, you saw what happened after, how citizens were brutalized when they were protesting in January. You saw how now they've entered into the terrain of local authorities and causing havoc, chaos and rapport in local authorities. You saw Parliament. The intention thereof is to ensure that the executive in Zimbabwe remains on top without checks from the judiciary and without the legislature. So what has been bastardized in Zimbabwe is separation of powers. The legislature is under attack. The judiciary is captured, and the executive wants to rule this country and wants to be the law unto itself. And you would see what is going to come from Parliament. They're going to enact laws to ensure that they ban the opposition. The MDC Alliance, led by Advocate Nelson Chamisa, at the present moment is a banned organization in this country. Thanks to Greek
Senator, let's speak about the recalls, because he is bringing it. I reserved it for some point. At some point, let's talk about the recalls of the councillors and the MPs. What is really your motive?
I wanted to just go back a bit.
Oh, okay.
Before we go to the recalls.
Yeah.
I just wanted to respond to the issues of MDCT is an appendage to ZANU-PF.
Okay.
This has been the narrative from the time immemorial. Everyone who differs with other certain leaders is labeled and is condemned. Naturally, happens like that. It's historical that when we left MDC in 2005, we labeled him as an ZANU-PF appendage. We actually labeled him as an ZANU-PF CIO. We did that. When Tendai BT left MDC in 2014, he was given the same tag. Tendai BT became a conniver of ZANU-PF. He became someone who was benefited from ZANU-PF, everything like that. In 2018, when Madame Coupe left us as well, she was labeled with the same tag. She was again labeled ZANU-PF for whatever, ZANU-PF, CIO, everything was ZANU-PF. At the end of the day, we are labeled ZANU-PF. But unfortunately, the difference is now.
So who left the other here? You have been giving me a history of background to say the Welshman, BT, ZANU-PF. Who left the other one here? You or the Alliance?
This time around. It's
you who left the...
We remained with MDCT. Because we do have the control of the harvest house.
No, my question is, who left the other? So
my best friend Nelson left with my friend, young man, my young man.
They left
Ostalos is no longer coming to harvest house. I used to sit with this young man in my office every time.
They left the
I like this young man very much. Very intelligent. I like him. He knows that. I'm just like his father. I like him. I used to work with him very closely. He was actually one of my researchers, doing great job. He left me. I'm still at the harvest house. My friend Nelson left me. I'm still at the harvest house. And my other friend Jijai, Chibaya, and Wende left me, and I'm still at the harvest house. So really, this time around, it's different now. We remained at the harvest house, and we are the leadership of the party, MDCT. So really, to call us ZANU-PF is really something, shocking. Because we are the party, or the regional party, we're still at Harvesters. We are not ZANU-PF at all. These are just labels that are given to people who differ in some views on issues. But really, that one is not an issue at all. We will demonstrate to you that we are not ZANU-PF or MDC. We are reconstituting ourselves. We are preparing for a Congress, which we need to look for to elect a leader to replace Mugen Changirai. We are going to do that. You'll see that things are going to change.
And Senator, let me ask you about the recalls. There is a dominating narrative right now that the councillors and the MPs, over 70% of them, they have bluntly said we don't recognize Thokozani Kupe. They have said we don't recognize Douglas Ngonzoro. They have said they don't recognize you too. Why are you recalling them in batches?
You want us to call them at one time?
They don't recognize you.
No. We are responsible leadership. We are not vindictive at all. We want to make sure that we engage people. In Shona, vanotiko vanavembwa vashundira musumwe chete. That is in English. Literally, we say puppies don't see light on the same day.
You must be missing Nelson Chamisa.
So really, if you really remember very well, not all of us moved away from Nelson Chamisa at the same time. People moved it gradually. Some of us, we moved on the very day of the court judgment. Mashakada later on came. Mayumparewa later on came at different occasions. So we do believe that many other people are going to come gradually. I want to tell you right now, we are in engagement with so many of members of parliament, so many councillors who are actually vying and actually coming to join us. So being a responsible leadership, we don't want just to cut heads off like that. We also feel sympathetic for these people. But we know sometimes, it's very difficult for a person to simply make a decision then and there. It takes time for people to make decisions. As I given you the example, that even in Egypt, the Israelites, given a clear vision by Moses.
These are people who are lashing at you on social media on daily basis. Surely they have defied you. And they have clearly said our leader is Nelson Chamisa, is not Thokozani Kupe. Why are you not recalling?
As a leader, you have to be patient. As a leader, must try to educate, teach, to engage as a leader. As a leader, you don't get irritated by those small things. You don't do that. We need to educate people. We need the people to see the vision. We got a vision that we need them to see, and they're going to see it. So really, to say we should just recall everybody, to be irresponsible to do that. We don't do that.
Well, what's your response to people who are saying these people that you have targeted them because they know they can't survive outside parliament and outside Parliament, and it's really not because of their political conscience, because they really know that perhaps on the ground you don't have the political capital?
No. There's always a reason why someone is being recalled. And this is what we use. If someone demonstrates clearly that is no longer part of you, and there's ample evidence that is no longer part of you, we just initiate the processes. But we don't want that. We want people to be engaged, to understand where we must supposed to go.
I think I need to quickly respond to our difference with Douglas Ngonzoro is on substantive issues, and for me to submit that the MDC project is a ZANU-PF funded one, is on substantive issues, is not based on historic difference. As he has said, Senator, I don't have personal differences with him. In any case, if I was in MDCT in the upcoming Congress, I would have wanted him to lead that organization, because he's the most sober, he's the most calm and very clear, and he's not vindictive. He's speaking for himself, not Douglas Ngonzoro, not Thokozani Kupe. You have heard them. I don't speak on things that I imagine. I speak on what they have said. They are vindictive. They are punishing people. There is an old woman who's bedridden right now, who was recalled from parliament. Bedridden. There are people who are just being victimized, who are deployed by the people. And there is no fundamental reason. In one of the letters that was written to parliament, in fact, all the letters, they were recalling members of parliament precisely on the basis that you have joined another party called the MDC Alliance.
led by Nelson Chamisa, and you are no longer part of us. And therefore, we are recalling you from parliament. And they are here today. They are going to parliament. They are going to council using MDC alliance. And only the regime in Harare is going to allow them to do that. And that's the fundamental explanation of the deficit or the challenge of elections under authoritarian tutelage. They are captured. I told you about the menu of manipulation. That they can Thokozani Kupe can even go there and even say, we want to use the trademark of the face of Nelson Chamisa, or say, I am Nelson Chamisa because he is from MDCT. I own everything that he has, but they've taken everything from. One of it, he has mentioned, Senator Morgan Comich, that the Harvest House has been taken, and you know that it was men in military tanks, it was men in military fatigue that took over Harvest House. You know it. There are documents all over about our Harvest. As I'm speaking right now, they are with the company of police in Kwekwe right now, taking over or attempting to take over our offices. So for me, the debate of you have benefited from ZANU-PF. You can't say Senator Morgan Comich is a Central Intelligence Operative. No. The organization MDCT is a direct beneficiary of the actions of the regime, whose agenda is to destroy the alternative. So the difference is not with the individuals, in particular with Senator Morgan Comich, because I know without any equivocation or ambiguity that Douglas Monzora is being vindictive, and he has said it formally and informal that no, you rejected me, you treated me like a kid, but he defeated African Nelson Chamisa in 2014. There was no vengeance to his person, but he's being vindictive, punishing people, denying right now there is rapports in our city council.
I do appreciate
because councillors are being recalled. So for me, it's fitting directly into the agenda of ZANU-PF. Thereby, you know what happened to our finance money that comes from parliament. It was given to them. Despite that, the High Court judgment had even argued that these are separate legal entities, and the debate on that is an exhausted one, and I don't want to go there. But for me, is that you have benefited. You would know even what will happen. Senator Morgan Comich is aware where their dominant 2014 structures is within their life.
We are 2 months. We are just 2 months away from the by-elections, and as you heard what he said about the MDC Alliance name, and obviously they are going to participate with the MDC Alliance name. You don't have an identity at the moment. Your supporters are waiting.
No. We have an identity. We have an identity, and I've told you that, and I'll give reference to Democrats that have fought authoritarianism across the world, be it in Uganda, be it in Egypt, be it in Tunisia, be it anywhere, in Burkina Faso, everywhere. There are challenges that happened, even in the liberation struggle. Organizations, political movements who were alternative to the Smith regime were banned. So we are operating as a banned organization, but it's what we are fighting for, and we are prepared to pay the ultimate price. And I will tell you again, there are issues that have risen in the body politic in this country. People are being abducted, people are being tortured, people are being arrested by the regime in Harare. You will not see any statement from the MDCT. You will not see any solidarity. For me, it's part of the reason that has appealed to my conscience to make a scientific conclusion that they've benefited from the state, and they've not condemned the regime for a lot of things that have happened: the crisis in the economy, the crisis in the health sector, the crisis of joblessness. Right now, the regime wants to compensate white farmers. Right now, the regime is bastardizing two things that were at the center of the liberation struggle. One, the sacrosanctity of the vote, because people went to the liberation struggle to fight for one man, one vote. Two, to fight for land. And ZANU-PF has destroyed those two founding pillars of the liberation struggle, thereby giving us as a generation the mandate and the task to become the revolutionary movement.
The question that I wanted you to just briefly respond is, which party name are you going to use in these coming by-elections?
It is going to be confirmed, and we will not do so at the dictates of the regime.
Thank you. So, Senator Comich, we have discussed at length about this party name issue, the recalls. In your departing remarks, I would want you, are you confident that you're going to win these by-elections? And these are your parting shots, by the way.
Yes, of course. Before I go to that question, I wanted to just make the people know. In MDCT, we apply collective leadership. Collective leadership. It doesn't matter how I feel about an issue. When issue is resolved by the leadership, I own to it. So whatever has happened in the MDCT, Douglas Monzola is just a Secretary General who writes. Madam Kupe is the president. We take collectively the ownership of whatever we do. Really. I know people might think Douglas is like this, Tokozani is like that, Komich is like that. Fair enough. But at the end of the day, we must take full responsibility as the leadership at the end of the day. If we are to be blamed, must be blamed all of us. If we are to be praised, must praise all of us as the leadership in MDCT. This is what we need to, the culture that we want to build and develop within our leadership. Really, I do appreciate that. At the end of the day, opposition political parties must always have one target. And the target that we have is unclear. Opposition political parties must not waste energy and time fighting among themselves. Opposition political parties must really come to a point where they'll say, okay, as Zimbabweans, we want to democratize this country. We want the people of Zimbabwe to benefit out of our efforts. We want to make sure that at the end of the day, the political crisis, economic crisis, whether I want to call it political challenge, economic challenges, are resolved by the Zimbabweans, by the Zimbabweans themselves. Which therefore means is that let us put ourselves into institution. MDCT, we are constructing ourselves into an institution. We are going for a Congress. We are going to have the leadership.
But you have lost the time which was determined by the Supreme Court.
My advice to my esteemed friends is that they must sit down and put themselves into institution, so that we start to work. Probably one day we'll come together. Probably we'll be able to share ideas as opposing political parties. This kind of inter-party conflicts that are taking place from the opposition point of view will not help Zimbabweans at all. My advice to Nelson Chamisa is that sit down with the leadership that follow you, constitute a political party, start doing programs that will benefit the people of Zimbabwe. Probably we are in charge of the alliance ourselves. We might even invite him to come and join the alliance so that we can continue with the opposition political party and politics. We don't want to be really holding each other's necks at the moment. We are wasting people's time. Look at the people, look at the economy of this country. It's bleeding. It's bleeding.
Is this unit going to happen in the run-up to 2020 elections?
I cannot rule it out. Morgan Tsvangira is my mentor. I saw Morgan Tsvangira uniting people of Zimbabwe. I saw him doing it with pain. I was just by his side. I assisted Morgan Tsvangira to develop the MDC alliance from the concept document to its execution. I was behind Morgan Tsvangira. And our vision and our view was that by 2018, opposition must be together, confront ZANU-PF, win the elections. And we did that. So that spirit is what I want to send to the people of Zimbabwe. That's that spirit, the anger that we have as Zimbabweans in opposition politics must die. It doesn't help us at all. We want to make sure that we deal with the Zimbabwean challenges together to unite the people. What I see, my brothers, is that I see a strong opposition party coming to developing this country. I see a huge movement that will liberate the people of Zimbabwe. I see the huge party that will change things in Zimbabwe. Really, I want all opposition political parties, whether it's Tendai Biti, Wilson Mngube, Nelson Chamisa, Jacob Vume, anyone else, to stop these kind of conflicts and be able to come together and form a united organization and form a party. At the end of the day, we are in opposition to free the people of Zimbabwe. When I move in Bari, and I move in Kwatsana, and I move in Mavuku, I feel very sorry. I feel so pained. When we go back to our boardrooms and start my infights, these infights must stop. I want to send this word to Nelson Chamisa.
Give Ostalos an opportunity.
Organize yourself, constitute your party, let's stop these pebbles, and move on. And move on. And move on. Those are my last words.
Ustalosi, your parting shots, or
No,
also in response to Senate.
Thank you very much. He is a man of huge wisdom. Very unfortunate situations happen in the struggle for democracy. But as young people, our position is very clear. And my message to the people of Zimbabwe is that we must reconvene and open the future. The present is holding the future in suffocation, and we must resist dictatorship. Those who have gone in bed with the state must know that we are prepared to fight for freedom in this country. There's going to be a huge sacrifice and suffering upon us, but we are not scared. We have been in this road before. We were tortured by ZANU-PF. He was a victim of ZANU-PF. He knows the brutality of the regime. And we as young people are prepared to surrender ourselves before we surrender this democratic project. And our message is very clear to the people of Zimbabwe. We must prepare to resist. Resist, we shall resist until victory. I thank you.
Viewers, we've heard it from the two guests that we had in the studio on the show, Gift Ustalosi, the MDC Alliance Youth Secretary General, as well as Senator Komichi, who also doubles as the MDCT chairperson, who were on the agenda on this Monday. We would like to thank you so much for following us on News MTV. And until next time, for now, it's bye-bye.